Hare Krishna, Namaste.
Chapter 13 is entitled as Kṣetraඥa Yoga, also as Prakriti Purusha Vibhaga Yoga, also as Prakriti Purusha Viveka Yoga. Sloka 6 and 7, Part 4. mahā-bhūtāny ahaṅkārah buddhir avyaktam ca indriyāṇi daśaikaṁ ca pañca cendriya-gocarāḥ icchā dveṣaḥ sukhaṁ duḥkhaṁ saṅghātaś cetanā dhṛtiḥ etat kṣetraṁ samāsena sa-vikāram udāhṛtam. The five great elements, false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses, and the mind, the 5 sense objects, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life symptoms and convictions, all these are considered in summary to be the field of activities and its interactions. In the previous session, we learned about Mahan. From Prakriti, a portion of it transforms into Mahan, leaving a layer around the Mahan. And that layer is called Avaranam. Each and every shell is covered by a layer, and that layer is called Avarana. Now, within this Mahan, a portion of it is transformed into ahaṅkāro, and that is what we are going to learn in this session. In our previous discussion, we understood that for us to have a knowledge of an object and understand what that is called ālochana. That's the first stage. I look at an object and then understand this is an orange. That's the first stage. Whereas the second is thinking that belongs to me is called abhimana. And the third is performing an activity with a determination to attain that object, that orange, is called adhyavasaya. We learned that this adhyavasaya is activity which is created by Mahan. But before the resolve, determination comes in, prior to that, one should have abhimana. Abhimana means thinking this orange belongs to me. I should attain it. It's for my enjoyment. And that is called abhimana. And that abhimana comes from substance called ahaṅkāro. This is the main activity that ahaṅkāro supports the mind, the manas, in having an abhimana. Abhimana means to think this belongs to me. And not just that, also thinking oneself to the body, dehatma abhimana, or svatantri-abhimana, that is, I am independent. This is all also caused by the ahaṅkāra tattva. This ahaṅkāra is classified into 3, like how we saw for mahat-tattva. Likewise, over here, the ahaṅkāra is also classified into 3, sattvika ahaṅkāra, rajasa ahaṅkāra, and tamasa ahaṅkāra. Like we saw a big shell as Prakriti. Within that Prakriti, there is Mahan, a second shell, and within that Mahan, there is another shell which is ahaṅkāra. Within this ahaṅkāra shell, there is a portion of it called sattvika ahaṅkāra, and another portion which is called rajasa ahaṅkāra, and there's another portion called tamasa ahaṅkāra. The sattvika ahaṅkāra is called as vaikārika. Rajasa ahaṅkāra is called taijasam, and the tamasa ahaṅkāra is called bhūtādi. Now let's understand the sattvika ahaṅkāra. Sattvika ahaṅkāra, which is called as vaikārika, creates 11 indriyas. Next, the tamasa ahaṅkāra, which is called as bhūtādi, creates 5 tanmatra and 5 bhutas. We'll be talking about these things in detail. And rajasa ahaṅkāra, which is called taijasa, does not create anything independently. It only supports both the sattvika ahaṅkāra and tamasa ahaṅkāra to perform their activities. It remains as a supporting factor for both sattvika and tamasa ahaṅkāra. Now, one important point is, as per the Nyaya Shastra, the indriyas are created from the pañca-bhūta, whereas per the Vedanta, that is not accepted. The indriyas are created from the 3 ahaṅkāras. This is just a side note. Now, let's understand these 11 indriyas of sattvika ahaṅkāra. The 5 indriyas called as jnānendriya, and there is a 5 indriyas called as karmendriya. And then the 1 is manas, mind. That makes it 11 in total. These all are created in sattvika ahaṅkāra. Jnānendriya is nothing but the senses that creates knowledge to the Atma. It is only through the senses, these senses, that the Atma can understand the external object. Without the presence of senses, the Atma will not know any of the object which is present outside. So these senses are 5, which are called as jnānendriya. Jnana means knowledge. So that which gives knowledge are called jnānendriya. What are those 5? Chakshusindriya, ghrāhanamindriya, rasanamindriya, tvakindriya, shotraindriya. That is, chakshus means to grasp an object. This chakshusindriya is present in the eyes to see. One might have an eye, but if the chakshusindriya, the sense to see, is not present in the eyes, even though having eyes, one will not be able to see an object. Therefore, the sense of seeing, called chakshusindriya, helps one to attain a knowledge of some object by looking into it. By looking at the form of it, I can say this is green in color, this is orange in color, and so forth. Granam is the second one, that is to grasp the smell, and that is present in the nose. And the third one is rasanam. Rasanam means to taste. This sense of taste is present in the tongue. The fourth is tvakindriya. This is to grasp the heat or cold, and this indriya is present in the skin. Shotram is the fifth one, that is to grasp the sound, and this indriya is present in the ear. So these are all present in their respective object. The sense to see is present in eyes, the sense to smell is present in nose, the sense to taste is present in tongue, the sense to feel the heat and cold is present in the skin, the sense to grasp the sound is present in the ears. Why they are present? So that they can give the knowledge of the object. Without the presence of the senses, one will not be able to obtain a knowledge of an object. Therefore, these senses, 5 senses, are called jnanendriya, that which creates knowledge. And these senses are microscopic, meaning it is not that the entire eye is of sense of chakshushu. It is not that the entire nose is a sense of granam. It's not like that. It is just a minute microscopic element, meaning it is anu. It is not big. One should not think the smell, the sense of smell is present in the entire nose. The sense of seeing is present in the entire eyes. It's not the case. These senses are anu, microscopic, and present in a portion of those respective objects. That's all. So just to recollect, we are seeing ahaṅkāra, the ahaṅkāra which came from mahan which came from prakriti. This ahaṅkāra are classified into 3: sattvika ahaṅkāra, rajasa ahaṅkāra, tamasa ahaṅkāra. Right now we are seeing sattvika ahaṅkāra. From sattvika ahaṅkāra, 11 things get created. That is 5 jnanendriya, 5 karmendriya, and manas. What we saw now is jnanendriya, chakshusindriya, granamindriya, rasanam, dveṣaḥ, kṣetraṁ. Now let's see what are the karmendriyas. Jnanendriyas create the knowledge, whereas karmendriyas performs activities. They are also 5 in number: vak, pani, pada, payu, upastha. These are the 5. Vak means the tongue, to speak. Tongue is special because it does 2 activities, that is to taste and to speak. So vak is to speak. That's an activity which is performed. Next is pani, meaning hands. This is a second karmendriya which are used for activities. The third one is pada. For one to move from one place to another place, they need legs. That's called pada. That's another activity. Payu, which is the 4th karmendriya, used for excreting the unwanted things from the body. Upastha is another indriya to excrete the waste water from our body. So these are 5 karmendriya: vak, pani, pada, payu, upastha, which all get created from the sattvika ahaṅkāra. And the last one is manas, mind. Though we have 5 jnanendriya and 5 karmendriya, which is 10 together, unless and until mind comes into the picture, none of these comes in contact. None of these can be controlled. Therefore, mind plays a major role here, which connects these things and controls these things together. If mind is not present, the knowledge from the jivatma and the senses and the sense object will never get connected. For example, say I have a beautiful flower present in front of me. In fact, I am holding that flower in my hand. That means my karmendriya, hand, is holding that flower. My jnanendriya, through my eyes, I could see and gain the knowledge that this is a flower. Plus, one can say the smell and so forth also comes into the picture. But now, if the mind is not present during this period, then there is really no much of use of these indriyas, because mind is the one which is going to be an interface between the jivatma and the senses and the sense object. If mind is thinking of something else while looking at the flower, if I start thinking about my job, then there is no connection happens. Therefore, cooperation of mind is a must to receive proper knowledge. And this is exactly what Krishna said in the 6th chapter. Udharet atmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet atmaiva hi atmano bandhur atmaiva ripur atmanaha. That is, the mind can be a good friend for the jivatma, or it could be a worst enemy as well. So, the mind is another indriya which is considered to be the chief of all indriya because it controls the other indriyas. The mind, manas, is used to think, to desire, and to decide. The mind also has other names, depends on the context. For example, mind is also called as buddhi, it is also called as ahaṅkāro, it is also known as cittaṁ. Based on the activity of the mind, the name varies. But let's not get confused when we say buddhi and ahaṅkāro. That buddhi we already saw, it's different, and ahaṅkāro is different. Ahaṅkāro is a substance, one of those 24 elements. Likewise, buddhi, which is mahan, is another element. So here, manas borrows these names, but it's not the substance that we are talking here. So let's see here. When the mind thinks, when it plays a role of thinking, then at that time, that stage of the mind is called citta. That means thinking. When the mind thinks, this is mine, and that stage of thinking, this is mine, then the mind is called ahaṅkāro. And of course, this is aided, helped by the ahaṅkāra tattva. But not to get confused as with the substance as this one. The third is when the mind takes the role to resolve, then it is called buddhi. And this is helped by the mahat tattva. Again, it is not the mahat, the buddhi, the dravya, substance that we spoke. It is a nature that the mind takes, called buddhi. So when it thinks, it is citta. When it thinks it's mine, it is ahaṅkāra. When it thinks I have to attain this and performs an action, then that is called buddhi. So this covers the 11 senses of sattvika ahaṅkāra. They are pañca jnānendriya, pañca karmendriya, and manas. When a jivatma leaves the body to take another body, he takes all these 11 indriyas with him. As let's understand very clearly, because we can understand manas is carried, we can understand that jnana indriya, the chakshus, ghranam, rasanam, tvak, kṣetraṁ are also carried. But the karmendriya, which are tongue, hands, legs, payu, upastha, they are also senses. We are not talking about the object itself. Meaning, a sense to speak is present in the tongue, The sense to carry is present in the hand. The sense to walk is present in the leg, and so forth. So therefore, at the time of Atma departing a body, all these 5 senses are also carried to the next destination. Next, we have to learn the tamasa ahaṅkāra, which has 5 tanmatras and 5 bhutas. We will cover that in our next session.
Namaste. Hare Krishna.